Italy usually gets the credit for timeless style. Britain is famous for tailoring. France for effortless elegance. But if you ask a fashion editor which wardrobes have quietly become more interesting over the last 20 years, don't be surprised if they point somewhere entirely different. East to Japan. North to Scandinavia. At first glance, they couldn't be further apart. Tokyo is fast, dense, and electric. Copenhagen feels calm enough to lower your blood pressure. Yet both cultures have been solving the same problem for decades. How do you dress a man so well that he'll still look stylish at 70? Let's find out who does it better. Round 1. The jacket. If you ever watch Hiroyuki Sanada in an interview, notice what doesn't happen. You never think, "That's a great jacket." You think, "He looks incredibly composed." That's Japanese tailoring in a nutshell. The jacket isn't trying to impress anyone. It's trying to disappear. Japanese designers have long believed that proportion matters more than decoration. That's why designers like Yohji Yamamoto changed fashion by removing details instead of adding them. Bigger lapels? No. Flashier buttons? No. Better balance? Absolutely. Scandinavia sees the same jacket differently. Look at Mads Mikkelsen. His blazers rarely have the crisp structure you'd expect from Italian tailoring. They move. They wrinkle a little. They feel lived in. Somehow, that relaxed attitude makes him look even more confident. It's almost as if Japan asks, "Can we perfect the jacket?" While Scandinavia asks, "Can we forget we're wearing it?" Different philosophies. Same elegance. Japan takes the first round. Barely, because Scandinavia has been quietly preparing its best answer all along. Round 2. Color. Here's something you probably weren't expecting. Some of the world's most admired denim isn't made in America. It's made in Japan. After World War II, Japanese craftsmen became fascinated with American workwear. But instead of copying it, they obsessed over improving it. Even today, brands like Ironheart, Momotaro, and Samurai Jeans still use vintage shuttle looms that weave fabric far more slowly than modern machines. The result? Denim that ages almost like leather. The more you wear it, the better it looks. That might be the most Japanese idea imaginable. Time isn't the enemy. It's part of the design. Scandinavia answers with almost the opposite philosophy. Instead of deep indigo and dramatic contrast, Scandinavian wardrobes rely on stone, oatmeal, sage green, soft blue, and warm gray. Colors borrowed from cliffs, forests, and winter light rather than fashion runways. There's a practical reason for that. Dark colors create sharp contrast. Soft colors create harmony. And harmony often becomes more flattering as we age. That's why a simple oatmeal sweater on someone like Mads Mikkelsen often looks richer than a jet black sweater covered in expensive logos. Speaking of logos, neither Japan nor Scandinavia has much patience for them, but for completely different reasons. Japan believes craftsmanship should speak first. Scandinavia believes nothing should interrupt good design. Different reasoning, exactly the same result. Scandinavia quietly wins this round, which means we're tied. And now we arrive at the round that changes everything, because it isn't about jackets or colors. It's about one black turtleneck that became one of the most famous pieces of clothing in modern history. Round 3. The icon. Some clothes become famous because everyone wears them. Others become famous because one person never stopped wearing them. Steve Jobs belonged to the second group. For years, the black turtleneck, blue jeans, and New Balance sneakers became as much a part of Apple's identity as the bitten apple itself. Most people assumed it was simply a personal uniform. In reality, it was the product of one of Japan's greatest designers, Issey Miyake. Jobs admired Miyake long before the rest of the world understood his philosophy. After visiting Japan in the early 1980s, he was fascinated by the idea of creating a personal uniform, something that removed unnecessary decisions from everyday life. Miyake eventually produced dozens of nearly identical black mock turtlenecks for him. It wasn't about fashion. It was about focus. Ironically, one of the most recognizable outfits in modern history was designed by a man who believed clothing should never overshadow the person wearing it. That's a very Japanese victory. Japan takes round 3. But Scandinavia has one of the strongest answers in the entire competition. Round 4. Living better. Ask a Japanese craftsman how to improve a chair, and he'll probably begin with the joinery. Ask a Danish designer, and he'll ask you how long you plan to sit in it. That isn't a joke. It's the difference between two design cultures. Few people captured Scandinavian thinking better than Arne Jacobsen. His egg chair and swan chair weren't created to impress museum visitors. They were designed to make everyday life more beautiful. Function came first. Beauty followed naturally. The same philosophy shaped Scandinavian menswear. A heavy wool overshirt, a perfectly knitted fisherman's sweater, a pair of suede boots that look even better after years of wear. Nothing feels precious. Everything feels personal. It's no coincidence that Scandinavian brands such as NN.07, Norse Projects, and Ascot have become favorites among men who buy less but buy better. Instead of chasing seasonal trends, they focus on fabrics, fit, and longevity. Scandinavia doesn't ask, "Does this look expensive?" It asks, "Will I still enjoy wearing this 5 years from now?" That question is surprisingly difficult to beat. Scandinavia levels the score. Final round, the quiet luxury test. Here's something that might surprise you. Long before quiet luxury became a trend on social media, both Japan and Scandinavia had already been living it. Japan expressed it through craftsmanship. Scandinavia expressed it through restraint. Take Muji, for example. The company's name is often translated as no brand quality goods. Think about that for a second. One of the world's most recognizable brands became famous by rejecting branding altogether. That's not clever marketing. That's a philosophy. And once you notice it, you start seeing the same idea everywhere, from beautifully stitched Japanese denim to a simple Scandinavian wool coat with no visible logo. Even Brunello Cucinelli, whose brand represents the pinnacle of Italian luxury, has spoken with admiration about Japanese textiles and the extraordinary respect Japanese mills have for fabric. When someone whose entire career revolves around quality looks to Japan for inspiration, that's saying something. So, who wins? After comparing jackets, color, denim, design, and the way both cultures think about clothing, choosing a single winner feels almost impossible. Japan wins when it comes to discipline. Scandinavia wins when it comes to ease. Japan reminds us to buy with intention. Scandinavia reminds us to wear those choices with confidence. And perhaps that's the real lesson. The best-dressed men over 50 rarely copy one country. They build their wardrobes with Japanese precision, live in them with Scandinavian ease, and end up looking like neither. They simply look like the best version of themselves.